You good? Just a quick statement. As everybody is this time of year, as much like the start of spring ball, much like the start of or signing day, we're excited. Had a great off season. I told our guys heading into summer training that this was the most important, maybe the most pivotal off season in the history of the University of Houston football, and they have responded. Coach McKnight and his staff are to be commended for what they have done and the transformation a lot of these guys have gone through, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is a different team than we inherited 7 months ago. We're all healthy. The only hiccup there, Kalik Kakuma, will be a little bit limited for the first couple days of practice. But other than that, or not days, couple weeks, we expect Kalik to be full go by the first game. But he is still just now starting to cut full speed on that foot, and we'll be back to full speed hopefully here in a couple weeks. I did tell our team, I told the media, I told our fans, I will at least attempt to make this the hardest training camp in the history of college football, and I certainly will not back away from that statement. The foundation of our culture here at the University of Houston is the way that we practice and the way that we prepare, and it will always be that way. There are no gamers. There are no guys that flip switches. There are guys that come out, they work really, 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 really hard every single day, and they're prepared by the best coaching staff in the country, and the Saturdays are a walk in the park in terms of physical and mental effort exerted compared to practices. Lastly, I do want to announce I've got a ton of pride in the city of Houston, a ton. I hope that's been made very clear in my first 8 months on the job, and so I do want to have a special thank you to the local media that covered our American Athletic Conference media days on either Monday or Tuesday, and to be quite honest with you, I'm very disappointed in the few affiliates that didn't. I sat down on my couch on Tuesday night and turned on a random affiliate just to see what our fans, what our players, what the Houstonians in our great city are going to get to watch about. We sent 3 tremendous representatives of this great program and this great university to Rhode Island to talk about and re-energize everybody, and I sit down with my wife, and I sit down at 10 o'clock at night, and I turn on a random affiliate, and I got to watch an affiliate send a guy, quite honestly, to an entirely different hemisphere to cover a sporting event that's over a year away, and yet we can't run 45 seconds to 60 seconds of Houston Cougar football media days, and so that was very disappointing. I'm disappointed in a few of you here, but I do also want to thank a lot of you here for having the pride in this great city and this program that we do, and obviously trying to showcase that pride in any way that we can. So with that, I will certainly open it up for questions.
If you have a question, please raise your hand so we can get a mic to you. Tom. Hang on just a second, Matt. Hang on. Like I said, please let the mic get to you before you ask. Thank you.
Tom, you say you're excited.
Yes, everybody is.
What excites you the most? Is it the returning talent? What excites you the most?
I think probably a couple different things. One, I'm excited to watch our defense. I think we got a really good defense. I think I've been quoted as saying our starting 11 on defense, I think, is championship caliber, and I'm excited to see them grow and continue to get better. I'm excited to see the physical and mental transformation of our team since I last saw them in April for the spring game. Because we're very limited in our contact with them in the off season. I have had some contact, and every bit of contact I've had with them, they're moving better, they look better, they act better, they sound better, they talk better, and so that part just excites me to see all that kind of come together. And then the new freshmen that just got here in June, we haven't had a chance to see them run around either, so that'll be fun to watch.
Tom, this is your first camp as a head coach. When you were preparing and planning how you wanted to put your stamp and signature, what were some of the things that you looked at that you want to accomplish in your first camp and kind of want to be the signature of this team?
Yeah, well, we're going to, much like spring ball, we're going to be very physical. We're going to tackle, we're going to hit, we're going to block. That's the only way you learn how to play the game of football. Last time I checked, you learn how to drive a car by driving a car. And you learn how to ride a bike by riding a bike. You learn how to speak Spanish by speaking Spanish. So you learn how to do things by doing them. I know that sounds maybe a bit redundant, but it may be a lost art sometimes in our sport. But that will be certainly a signature, is how physically and mentally taxing this will be. I want our kids to come out on the other side of this knowing that what they've gone through and they've quote unquote survived it, and now they can focus on the season. It just makes you that much more mentally and physically tough.
Tom, going back to the defense, what can you expect about the defense for past 2 seasons, giving up less than 22 points per game? What do you expect about the defense this season? And can you talk about how much Coach Orlando has meant to the defense so far?
Yeah, well, what I expect is them to be really good. I mean, I don't know. We don't place a whole lot of weight into, statistical goals. We look at statistics certainly to see where we can improve, but to say I expect this many points per game or this many this, that, no. I expect us to play at a championship level. I also expect our backups to get better and contribute. That's something that I made a point to the defensive staff and the defensive players after spring ball. I thought our starting 11 were great, and maybe a few other guys, but there were some areas where the backups, you'd be afraid to really put them in the game right now, and we can't have that going into the season, so those guys have to develop. And then Coach Orlando, I think it's well documented. I think he's the highest paid non-autonomous 5 coordinator in the country. Don't quote me on that, but if he's not, he's real close, and he earns every penny of it. He came to us with an outstanding resume, reputation as not just an X and O guy, but a teacher and a man that dives into his players' lives and gets to know them as people and mentors them, and to be quite honest with you, makes men out of boys. So hopefully I answered all 3 parts of that question.
Coach, on Tuesday morning, the Navy coach, I won't attempt to pronounce his name.
Ken is what I call him.
Okay.
Yes. Coach Ken.
He mentioned about fighting every day in practice, fighting on Saturday, and when they get knocked down, to fight back up. Will this team have plenty of fight? I see fight in you, but as players, they've got to get it done on the field.
Yeah, we talked about that today, in fact, that, Kevin McHale talks about toughness and togetherness, and that when things get tough, because they will get tough, they'll get really hard, and they will get very bleak and adverse at times this season, and the great teams, the championship teams, come together. The average teams to below average teams splinter in times of toughness and times of adversity. So that's an ongoing process that we're teaching them how to do every day. Will they? I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have a crystal ball, but they're being taught that every day, and that's the expectation, certainly.
Tom, at quarterback, what's your timetable going in as far as naming a starter for the opener?
7 p.m. September 5th.
Okay, let me follow that up. As far as camp early on, how do you plan on divvying up the
Same
the
as we
reps?
did in the spring. Greg and Adam will get the reps with the ones. Kyle Postma will get an opportunity because of what he's done throughout the offseason to earn it, get a bulk of the reps with the twos to see what he can do. And then, again, there's no magic metric. There's no we're going to keep track of everything, but I don't know that tells the whole story in terms of completion percentage and interceptions, touchdowns, all that. We will keep track of all that, and that will go in to our thought process as to who the starter will be. But at the end of the day, a quarterback really has 2 jobs, and one of them is to protect the football at all costs, and the other one is to score touchdowns. And however that happens, it's always good. There's never I've never seen a bad touchdown scored on offense. And so if he is protecting the football and moving the offense effectively, more effectively than the other guy, then he'll probably be the guy that starts.
Coach Tom, the previous coaching staff was 7-11 in close games. How do you expect to get over the hump in regards to winning the close games?
I think, some of the pillars of our program should help that. I think you see, physical and mental toughness. I think that's a key ingredient into winning close games, to know that you're physically and mentally tougher than your opponent, that you've been trained harder and better than your opponent. And then probably the other one is unit pride. Within that comes accountability, and that you're going to do everything you can, not for yourself, not for your own satisfaction, but for the joy and successes of the guy next to you. Yeah.
Coach, you talk about the term HTown Takeover. What that means to you?
It means a lot. It means that we are the hometown college football team of this great city, of the city of Houston. And we have embraced this city. I have embraced this city. Our staff has embraced this city. And our team has embraced this city maybe more than at any other time in the university's history. And we're very, very proud of that. And so I can't stress to you enough how much pride we have, and how good it makes us feel to be a part of this great city. And so the HTown Takeover is just a fun way to let recruits, fans, media know that this is our town, this is our city, and we embrace it with every fiber of our being. And we plan to make sure that we defend this city too from, to be quite honest with you, from people coming in and trying to recruit our city like they have in the past. It's not going to be as easy as it was before, and in fact, it'll be really, really hard. There's not going to be anything easy about it, and that we have a tremendous amount of pride, and we want to keep not only our fans here in the greater Houston area happy and proud, but we also want to keep the great high school players from the greater Houston area home.
Tom, through the weeks, you've mentioned different positions, offensive line, wide receiver, quarterback, that will get, a lot of look in the early part of camp. But are there any other positions or battles early on that you kind of want to pique your interest?
I think linebacker. I think if I'm a veteran linebacker, if I'm Elandon Roberts or Stephen Taylor or Matt Adams, I am looking over my shoulder every second, because I think our young linebackers that we signed have a chance to play and play early. So those guys, again, I don't believe in cementing positions on the depth chart. I just don't. I mean, everybody's going to get a chance to win a job. That's what this is all about, And could you imagine waking up every day and coming and doing the stuff that these kids have to do, and knowing that you're not going to get a chance to play on Saturday if you do all these things and do them really well and do them better than the guy that's slated ahead of you? And so there's hope for everybody. I can tell you that right now. Nobody's job is secure. There will be more and more apparent as we get closer to the first game. Certainly you got to define who you're going to lean on and who's going to play the most. But no, we preach constant competition at every position.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about a high-profile assistant like Major Applewhite, and bringing him in, and he's highly thought of in this area. You talk about what it means to bring in a guy like that, both on and off.
Yeah, I think it again, like with Todd, like with Craig Niver, really with this entire staff, it lends instant credibility, not only on the recruiting trail, but within your own team, with your players. And in today's generation, that's important. Back when I grew up, a coach told me to run through the wall. I said, yes, sir, how fast do you want me to go? And nowadays you say run through the wall, and kids go, why? Well, they ask why a lot less when you can say, because I'm Todd Orlando and I've done this, 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 and this, because I'm Major Applewhite and I've done this, 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 and this. And so it adds a lot of credibility to what they're preaching. And then obviously for me, as an offensive coach, or having cut my teeth on the offensive side of the ball, it was important for me to find a guy that would be able to come in, have no ego, have no, not be set in his ways, and be willing to learn the University of Houston's offense and coordinate it that way, and then bring some fresh ideas maybe to some things that we hadn't done in the past. But the offense certainly wasn't broke in terms of the system that we've been running for the last few years, and you know, it always needs to be enhanced. And so that was his job, to come in and enhance it, learn it, teach it to the quarterbacks, and then coordinate the offense and call plays.
You've mentioned toughness. Is that the style of football you're trying to bring, just trying to out-tough?
Yeah, I think there's a broader definition than just, you know, running into people, you know, than just banging heads. You know, there's a mental, the mental side of this game is so much more important than the physical. We will be physically tough, that I can promise you, but the mental toughness of this football team is something we're working on every day, and it will be my greatest source of pride is when an opponent, you know, when the clock hits zero and we beat somebody, if that coach ever says, Dan, you got a really mentally tough football team, then that's what makes me smile. You know, running into each other, that's the easy part. The hard part is struggling through adversity, playing for each other, you know, preparing like a pro, like a champion. You know, all those things take mental toughness, and we're constantly teaching our guys how to be mentally tough.
Coach.
Yes.
Talk about how important it was to get Yancey McKnight on his staff.
I wouldn't have taken the job had he not. I'd probably still be in Columbus, Ohio, had Yancey not said he was coming with me. He's the best strength coach in America. He was at Rice when I joke all the time. We won 10 games with a bunch of doctors and lawyers running around out there because he maximized their genetic potential. And then we go to Iowa State, and we're not even close to bringing in the same recruits that the teams that we're playing have. And we're going to Nebraska and beating Nebraska, and in Lincoln we're beating Texas in Austin. We're beating Oklahoma State when they were ranked second in the country and undefeated. And so none of that would have been possible without his development of those players. And so, yeah, that was the singular most important hire I made, was getting him here. And because he's my culture coach too. Not only does he teach guys how to run fast and lift a lot of weight, he teaches the mental toughness part too. And because he's around them 10 times more than we're allowed to be around him. And so he's got to be completely aligned with everything that we believe in. And he is really the one that conveys that message on a daily basis to our team.
Coach, how much emphasis do you place on special teams, considering you just coached under Urban Meyer?
Yeah, a ton. That'll be my main focus. What kind of keeps me coaching, keeps me game planning. I'll certainly help the offense and be sitting in those meetings, but myself and Coach Washington will be extremely involved in that. And I think one of the really cool things about having the head coach be so fanatical about special teams is that I get to play whoever I want, you know. So you're going to look at our punt team, and we jog our first punt team out there. You're going to have Kenneth Farrow and Adrian McDonald and Trayvon Stewart and William Jackson and you know, Tyler McCluskey and you know, you name it. You name the starter, and he's probably going to be on that punt team. And you know, and even on kickoff team, you're going to see Kenneth Farrow running down the field covering kicks for the University of Houston, and that's something that I believe in, is that it's an honor and a privilege to play. One of every 5 plays in a football game is a special teams play, and so to say that that's not important, that's crazy. And when you don't put your money where your mouth is, or your best players where your mouth is, so to speak, then it's just lip service. So we will definitely do that.
Tom, speaking of Coach Meyer, you had an opportunity to be around him after he came back into coaching. With this being your first head coaching job, what were some of the things that you were able to take from him in terms of balancing family and then time on the job?
Do it. You have to make a conscious effort to do it, or the game will consume you. We had a 4-hour staff meeting this morning, and we had Robert Andrews come in, talk to us about the psychology of peak performance and all that, and he'll come and talk to the team, but I wanted him to talk to the staff first so that we can become better teachers. And I relayed the story to the staff that my worst year of coaching, my worst job was in 2007 when I was at Rice and we went 3-9. And I thought that because we started so poorly that the only way to fix it was to stay later and get up earlier. And then that just becomes this vicious cycle of, guess what, now I've become a worse coach. And then the team becomes worse, and it's just awful. And I learned from that. And I learned from Coach Meyer. Coach Meyer, I think sometimes it was hard for him to pry himself out of that seat at 10 o'clock or 9:30 or whenever he said we were going to leave. But when he left, he left. And the off season did not consume him. He spent a lot of time with his son and his daughters, in their sporting events. And so I think it's really important to just be disciplined about it, or else this will consume you, because we're all adrenaline junkies. We all want to win so bad. We're all uber competitors that, especially when things may not be going the way you'd hoped, your first reaction is work harder, work longer, work harder, work longer, and next thing you know, you haven't seen your kids awake in 3 weeks. And I've been there, and it's a bad place to be. And so, not just learning from him, but from my own experiences too, we'll make sure that we have a ton of balance. And the neat thing is our practices, our offices are always open to. Wives are part of our program. Kids are part of our program. I've seen other places where it's frowned upon to have your kids show up to practice. Not here. We want our kids and our wives at practice as much as they can, because to be quite honest with you, a lot of the players that we're coaching didn't grow up with dads, and they need positive male role models. Well, what's the best way to learn how to be a really good parent from your coach? It's not your coach telling you, it's your coach showing you how to be a good husband and a good parent. And so we want those families around as much as possible.
Tom, at tight end, I think you've, I think you've said that not having a tight end is non-negotiable.
Yes.
Other than Tyler, I think you moved Shantez in the spring. Are there
Shantez is back to defensive
Okay,
line.
back to
He should contribute at defensive line. Hayden Daniels has put on a lot of weight. We've moved him to tight end, and then we moved Romello Brooker. I didn't know if that was maybe publicized or not, but Romello, he's 6'5", 230 pounds as a redshirt freshman. Never played the position, was a wide out, so he's got some training to do, but he moved there the day after the spring game. We said, quite honestly, you're too big and too slow to play wide out, so let's put some good weight on you. Let's teach you how to hit somebody and see if we can't make a great tight end out of you, because he's got the physical frame to do it. The guy I feel bad for is Hayden Daniels, because he was stuck at wide receiver for so long, and never really got to play, and to say, hey, you're whatever Hayden was at the time, 215 pounds, you're going into your senior year, from February to August, we want you to gain 25 pounds. His body he's too lean to do that, so he's only going to be probably about 225 when we start camp. But had he had 4 years maybe of solid weight gain and growth and the goal of being a tight end, I think he could have helped us, or he could have served himself a little bit better. He'll help us this year, make no mistake about it, but we would have been maybe a lot more prepared to do so.
Hey, we talk a little bit about the pass rush. I know we lost several key pass rushers in the offseason. you talk a little bit about how Orlando's system, and I've heard it's supposed to be more aggressive. Is it supposed to make up for that?
Yeah, I think so. You're going to see a lot of our pass rush, especially on third down, come from guys blitzing from all over the place. I think Coach Orlando actually had a blitz one time this year or this spring where he sent the water boy and Doc O'Shea blitzing the quarterback. I mean, he'll send them all. So it's confusion and disruption on definitive passing downs. We're talking third and long. And then on first down, you'll probably see the pass rush come from one of the outside backers, maybe Tyus Bowser or DeJuan Hines, and then hopefully those inside guys, even though we've switched to a 3-4. It's why in the NFL, everybody plays a 3-4, but on third down, what do? They play a 4-down front because they want pass rushers on the edges of people. When you play a 3-4, you're in the middle of people. Your nose guard is centered up on the center, and your two defensive ends are head up on the tackle, so it's a lot harder to generate a pass rush on first and second down, but much more stout against the run. So long answer to a short question, but yeah, on definitive passing downs, you'll see a lot of exotic blitzes to generate that pass rush, and then on first and second down, if it is a pass, we've just got to transition our inside guys and our outside linebacker into that pass rush mode.
Tom, you mentioned being uber competitive and being an adrenaline junkie. Was that always your personality, as long as you can remember? What was middle school Tom Herman like?
A nut job. Yeah, crazy. I mean, I was a good kid, but I just did stupid things. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. I got my thrills from athletics and adrenaline and seeing how fast I could get my skateboard to go down the hill without falling and cracking my head open, and how fast, how high I could jump on my bike going up off a ramp, how much air I could get without killing myself, So, yeah, I've been competitive, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back. Just description of me, I think, certainly from the time I was little. My mom's got a tremendous work ethic. I've seen her work, and I knew that the path to success always entails really hard work, and I wanted to be successful. Winning's a drug too, by the way. It's intoxicating. She was a salesperson, then sales manager, and then moved into upper management. Still is. I shouldn't say was. She's put 30 years in with one team, with one company. And then retired and is drawing her pension there, and then went on to, I don't even know what she does. She works for Cisco Communications. I know that, selling their, I don't know, their financing or something. I don't know.
All right, anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you guys.
Applewhite up